Discerning Hearts provides content dedicated to those on the spiritual journey. To continue production of these videos, prayers, and more, go to discerninghearts.com and click the donate link found there or inside the free Discerning Hearts app to make your donation. Thanks, and God bless.
DiscerningHearts.com, in cooperation with the missionary Benedictines of Christ the King Priory, presents The Holy Rule of St. Benedict, a spiritual path for today's world, with Father Mauritius Wilde. Father Mauritius did his philosophical, theological, and doctoral studies in Rome. Father Mauritius also serves as the prior of Sant Anselmo's in Rome. The Holy Rule of St. Benedict, a spiritual path for today's world, with Father Mauritius Wilde. I'm your host, Kris McGregor. Welcome, Father.
Thank you.
As we continue to really, mine the role of St. Benedict, the particular topic that we're going to address now is one that it just makes the heart ache, spiritual homelessness. And the remedy is one I don't think we would suspect, that it would be stability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I take this word from our monastic vows as Benedictines. So other than other religious orders who have this classical three vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, the monks profess stability, fidelity to the monastic life, and obedience. So it's interesting that we kept these three vows over the centuries and finally didn't go with the other ones. The other ones are included in our vows anyway. But this stability, vow of stability, this is very specific for Benedictine life, and this is the reason why I would like to share it with you. What does this mean, stability? Stability, first of all, is stability of the place, or in Latin, stabilitas loci. It is also stability of the community. You stay not only at one place, but in one community. And finally, it means more in general, faithfulness in general, fidelity in general. Let me give you a couple examples where the rule of St. Benedict addresses this vow. It's chapter 58 on the reception of young brethren into the community, verse 15. But the young monk must be well aware that as the law of the rules establishes, from this day he is no longer free to leave the monastery, nor to shake from his neck the yoke of the rule which, in the course of so prolonged a period of reflection, he was either free to reject or to accept. So he is no longer free to leave the monastery, clearly stated. Or in the prologue, verse 49, never swerving from the Lord's instructions then, but faithfully observing his teaching in the monastery until death. We shall through patience share in the sufferings of Christ, that we may deserve also to share in his kingdom. Amen. Until death. Stability. And the third example I would like to share with you, this is taken from chapter 66. The monastery should, if possible, be so constructed that within it all necessities such as water, mill, and garden are contained, and various crafts are practiced. Then there will be no need for the monks to roam outside, because this is not at all good for their souls. So this is Benedict. He wants his brothers to stay in the monastery, to stay within the monastery, at that place, stability of place. And the reason is he doesn't want us to roam around outside. He says this is not good for your souls. So why is this not good for our souls? Because we have professed to seek God at this place. So behind this vow stands the conviction and the deep belief that God can be found at that very place where the monastery is located. We don't have to leave the monastery because God is there. The idea of stability is you don't have to move. Just stay because God is there. God is present. So with this vow, we kind of evoke the fact that God is present. So many people flee all the time and escape somewhere in order to find happiness or even God. But start where you are. Start at the place where you are. Start with the people with whom you live. This would be St. Benedict's advice.
That is something I think that the domestic church has a trouble assimilating into their life and living that out, because we're called out into so many different areas. And so that concept of not roaming is one that, I mean, how do we, can I say violate that? I mean, how do we live with that given the situation? This is where we've been placed, but yet we want that stability.
Mm-hmm. Let me explain this just historically, how monasticism came about and came into being. So let us think back to the 3rd, 4th century. So there were these crazy men, these crazy people, not only men, by the way, also women, who left their homes, their cities, their towns, and went into the desert. They settled in caves, on mountains, mostly alone, just by themselves. And their deepest motivation was away. Let's go away. Let's escape. They found the world disgusting. They hated the civilization. They hated the culture. They hated all of this. Very similar to St. Benedict himself, who lived in the 5th and 6th century. So he started studying in Rome, but he didn't love it. He didn't love it. He felt, this is not the place where I can grow closer to God, where my life can flourish. So he escaped. So the monks are people who run away from the world. It's not a very heroic motive, I know. In other words, you could say sometimes monks are people who are afraid of the world. So this is a very old motivation. We call it the fuga mundi, escape from the world, fuga mundi. But what happened afterwards? This is now interesting. So the monks and the nuns, they escaped, settled somewhere in the desert, and were seeking God, were looking out for God. And what did they find? Themselves. Because they hadn't thought about that, they take themselves into the desert. You know, you can leave a town, a city, a culture, but you can not leave yourself. You take yourself with you. So that was a problem. And the way how the monks encountered themselves in this sense was they encountered the demons. They saw that the world is in their souls. All that what they hated is not only out there, it is within themselves. And then, when they had realized this, they stopped escaping. They said, it doesn't make sense to escape again because I cannot. I have to fight those demons. I have to face my own reality as it is. So they stayed. This is kind of the moment when stability came into being. So they learn we have to stay. We have to stay in order to really encounter God and the truth, our truth. And this is the reason why St. Benedict recommends his monks to stay, because he says it doesn't make sense to go somewhere. You will always encounter yourself wherever you go. So you can stay also. Just stay and try where you are to become more full of God and more faithful, and that is enough.
When you think of the community that is a family, it's the same type of thing that you would encounter where two people come together and having the children, they end up having to work through the different aspects of the personalities that run the family. And you would have to stay because that was your area, that's your community, that's your family. In today's world, it has become so much easier. Again, I'm not passing judgment on people that have had difficulties in those families, but it's so much easier now to leave because whatever it is that is the struggle or the demon that is affecting the relationships, they run from it. I'm not happy here. This isn't satisfying me. I'm going to go over here now, and I'm going to start this, and then it becomes perpetual. And that's what ultimately the next generation is taught, because they experience that lack of stability. And that's it. It has a terrible domino effect, doesn't it, throughout all of culture?
Yeah, I see it the very same way. It has become a trend to escape. So if things are not fitting anymore, I just change them. And so do I with my relationships and everything. In a way, it's a disease, it's really not good for the society. And I think we have totally overemphasized mobility. So you have to be mobile. We have our cell phones, mobile phones. The smartphones make us independent from any place. So we are able to be mobile, and even also economically. In order to be economically successful, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible. You are stupid if you are stable. You're stupid. It's the last thing you will think about. So I must really say stability of the place and stability in the way we Benedictines live it is it's so countercultural. It's incredible countercultural. But because of this, it is so important, because we try to remind the people and the society there is still another element you need in your life too. It's good to be flexible. It's good to adjust to new situations and new people. But if you don't have a red thread in your life, if you don't have stability, if you don't have trustworthy relationships, if you don't have faithfulness and fidelity, you will lose yourself. Because if everything changes, who are you? And this is how I find many people, that they don't know who they are anymore. And now think about these more basic changes that are happening all around us. Climate change, demographic changes, migration, the digital revolution. It's amazing how quick times are changing right now. And this is why I mean even more important is for our society to have stable elements in our lives. And this is our faith. This is our religion. And as monks, we try to even more stick to this value of stability.
There historically is an unbelievable value to the monastic stability that has benefited Western civilization. I mean, when you look at the rise of the monastic communities in the backdrop of a Europe that would go up and down and up and down, and political systems vary, you see how it maintained the culture to a point where it could incubate and so much more could grow out of it, that the scholastic tradition even being a base for the Franciscan tradition. Who did Francis run to? He went to the Benedictines, the monastic communities where there was safety, there was harbor, there was a response to a need. They have been there throughout the last 1,500 years, and it's because of that stability.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So the monasteries are kind of the backbone of the church. I hesitate to say this because it's really something. I don't know if we really live up to this idea, and it's not easy. But this is what our goal is. We want to stay, no matter what happens, no matter where the church goes, the society goes. We want to stay. Just pray and work and pray and work and be with the people, and people very much appreciate that. I remember Protestant monastic community, as you know, also in the Protestant churches, monasticism grows, which is wonderful. And there was a community that settled in Eastern Germany, the former GDR, after the Berlin Wall broke down. And so at that time, it was right after 1989, many businesses floated into Eastern Germany, and also the religious communities. After a couple of years, most of the businesses had left because there was no prosperity anymore or whatever. So these typical changes had happened. Only these nuns, this monastic community, they stayed in Erfurt and in Eastern Germany. And the people in the area said, all the others have left. You are the only ones who stayed with us. So these people who are mostly atheists in Eastern Germany, they realized there are people who want to stay with us. They want to live with us. They don't move away when they cannot make a business anymore here. So this stability is really a witness to the people. Its stability is a way of evangelization. Being there with the people, staying with the people, conveys you are good, and this is why we stay with you, and we trust that God is with you, trust that God stays as well. So we want God to stay with us, right? Why don't we stay with the people?
It's not just one principle of the rule. We've spoken of this before, but it's all of the aspects of the rule that make the stability work. You can't have stability unless you have silence. You can't have stability unless you have the discipline. And that gratitude for the gifts to be able to only ask what you really need, to give up the other things for those who have the need for what you may have, or the gift that you may be able to offer them.
And in a way, this is kind of old-fashioned in times when virtuality becomes so important. So we have virtual universities and virtual learning and digital learning, and so we can do almost everything online. But the more we live together with our screens, the more we long for real places. And I think this is the gift of Benedictine communities. They are places. They don't run away. So there are these monasteries. Mostly they are built very solidly and they don't run away. The church needs places, not virtual places. Nothing against praying together in the internet and all this. And this is a wonderful new way to connect in faith. But beyond that, we still need places. And Benedictine monasteries want to be real places.
They're sacred places. Mm-hmm. And I've heard it termed that sacred is the touching of heaven and earth. It's that place where we recognize something different is here.
Mm-hmm. I love this. Imagine people praying at the very same place over centuries. For example, my community that has sent me here to Nebraska, in 𝗪𝗏𝗰𝗄𝗏 in Germany, this Benedictine community was founded 1,200 years ago. And when I stay in the Abbey Church and pray, I always think 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, there were monks at this very same spot praying. So that gives me a deep push and encourages me so much. This line of monks who prayed here before. And I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit esoteric when I say this now, but no, I'm not. When I pray, I believe that this has an impact. This changes positively the world. So imagine monks over such a long time praying at the very same place that changes even and transforms even the stones. So this is, when you talk about sacred places, I think the reason this is true for all sacred places, for shrines, for example, it's the very same principle. Shrines and all the Camino, the pilgrimage ways. So when you go to places where people used to pray and pray deeply and enthusiastically, this shapes and this transforms the place itself. And you can feel that. You can, when you come into a monastery, you feel a kind of atmosphere of prayer, because not only you pray, others have prayed there too. And all this prayer kind of multiplies, and that helps to create this sacred place.
Any final thoughts on this particular discussion, Father?
Yeah, 2 thoughts. Blaise Pascal in the 17th century said, "The sole cause of man's unhappiness is that he does not know how to stay quietly in his room." That's our problem. We have forgotten just to stay in our room. And in addition to this, an old desert father said to his disciple, to his student, "Go into your cell." Cell is the room of a monk. "Go into your cell. Your cell will teach you everything."
Yeah, I think we struggle with that. And we go into our room, and oftentimes now, even the room that we consider our bedroom has a television or some type of device in it to create noise until we sleep. But it is a room where we just go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Not a quiet room to just be alone. We're very uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Father.
You're very welcome, Kris. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Holy Rule of St. Benedict with Father Mauritius Wilde. To hear and or to download this conversation, along with hundreds of other spiritual formation programs, visit discerninghearts.com, or you can find it within the free Discerning Hearts app or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. This has been a production of Discerning Hearts. I'm your host, Kris McGregor. We hope that if this program has been helpful for you, that you will first pray for our mission, which is to offer authentic and rock-solid spiritual formation freely to souls around the world. And if you feel us worthy, please consider a charitable donation, which is fully tax-deductible, to help support our efforts. But most of all, we hope that you will tell a friend about discerninghearts.com and join us next time for The Holy Rule of St. Benedict with Father Mauritius Wilde.